She fights for what you deserve.
That ad is for Vanessa Motta, a personal injury lawyer who's now in hot water with the feds. I'll tell you how they say she's part of a ring that set up a car crash scam that led to one person's murder. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. A long list of people in New Orleans are accused of staging car crashes to collect insurance payouts. And in an effort to keep a witness from cooperating with the feds, prosecutors say one man was murdered as part of the massive conspiracy. One of the people facing charges in this case is this woman. Her name is Vanessa Motta, and she owns the Motta Law Firm in New Orleans. Motta was once a stuntwoman before turning to the practice of law. In a statement, the U.S. attorney said, the members of the conspiracy intentionally staged automobile collisions in the New Orleans metropolitan area and submitted fraudulent insurance claims based on the staged collisions. The members of the conspiracy filed fraudulent lawsuits in state and federal court based on the staged automobile collisions. Now, the Department of Justice says the crashes were all staged in the New Orleans area, as I mentioned. The statement went on to describe how these crashes were staged. The scheme included individuals who rode in automobiles as passengers, knowing they would be part of staged collisions. Those individuals later lied as part of fraudulent insurance claims and fraudulent lawsuits based on the staged collisions. Additionally, the scheme included individuals who drove automobiles and intentionally collided with 18-wheeler tractor trailers and other commercial vehicles in order to stage collisions. Those were slammers. After the staged collisions, the slammers would flee the scene and a passenger would falsely claim to have been driving at the time of the collision. 4 people named in a superseding indictment are alleged to have been these slammers, the people who staged the crashes. And the U.S. attorney says those 4 people recruited other people to take part in the scheme, and it was pretty elaborate. The DOJ went on to say, additionally, the scheme included individuals called spotters who drove getaway cars that allowed the slammers to flee the scene after causing a collision and evade detection by law enforcement. The spotters would sometimes also pretend to be eyewitnesses and would flag down the commercial vehicles after the staged collisions, alleging that the commercial vehicles were at fault. Now, this case involves allegations of money laundering and wire fraud. But then in 2019, the feds say one of the spotters, Cornelius Garrison, started cooperating with agents. So Ryan Harris, another person involved, murdered him. Harris's lawyer has told a local TV station that he's not guilty of the charges. Another law firm, the King Law Firm out of New Orleans, has also been charged in the conspiracy. I've reached out to the firm for a comment, and at the time of this recording, I have not yet received a response. Vanessa Motta has pleaded not guilty, and a total of 63 people face charges in this scheme. The cases I cover each day here on Crime Fix show you just how scary the world can be, and one of the scariest things that can happen is if you ever get hurt. But I want you to know, if you're ever seriously hurt or in an accident, your case could be worth millions. That's where our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan, comes in. The firm has more than 1,000 lawyers who will fight for what you deserve, and they have the track record to prove it. In the past several months, Morgan & Morgan has won big verdicts like $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philly, and $6.8 million in New York. All of those were much higher than the highest insurance company offer. Seeing if you have a case can be done in 8 clicks or less, and you don't even have to leave your couch to start one. Also a great thing, you only pay Morgan & Morgan if you win. There are no upfront fees. So if you're ever hurt, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/crimefix. I want to bring in somebody who knows a lot about personal injury law. He is Dan Morgan. He is one of the managing partners of the Morgan & Morgan law firm, who you hear a lot about here on Law and Crime. So Dan, thanks so much for coming on. I'm really excited to talk to you about this case. I just want to get your gut reaction upon reading about the allegations that there were some personal injury lawyers involved in this alleged scam to set up car crashes and then collect these big payouts.
Yeah, the initial reaction is just, it's terrible for the industry all around. Not even, let the courts figure out if they're guilty or not, but even the accusations being made just puts a dirty stain on the industry and what we do, takes the credibility away from our clients that are righteously injured in these accidents and seeking compensation to have, these kind of thoughts and this type of stuff thrown into the mix of what's possible of maybe it's not real, maybe it's staged, maybe they're doing it for money, maybe it's a conspiracy. So, you always kind of hear about these type of fraudulent schemes and different things happening in different cities, but to kind of see it drawn out like this and the details that I was reading over and how long it's been going on, I think it's like 2011, so over like 13 years of a long history, a long trail, a lot of evidence kind of looking that it is what it is. But yeah, it's really bad for the entire industry as a whole, because you have people out there that are always yelling about tort reform and the things that need to be changed and how people are taking advantage of the system. And on the flip side, you're like, well, the people that need it. But now you have people that are coming out and saying, well, if people are slamming into semi trucks and faking injuries to get big checks, well, obviously then something needs to be done to the industry.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point there. This was going on according to the allegations, and these are allegations. They have to be proven in court by the prosecution, of course, by the federal prosecutors. But they say it was going on beginning in 2011 and going on all the way up until the superseding indictment was unsealed last month. So that is a really, really long time. And it seemed to me very elaborate. I mean, you have these slammers who do the car wreck, and then the spotters who then chase people down and act as witnesses. I mean, have you ever heard of such a thing so elaborate? Some where it's so organized with people coming up with this and doing it over and over again.
There was recently another one that I think happened up in New York that came to light a year ago or so, but it was something similar where it was actually gang related. MS-13 gangs is who they were alleged doing it, but had some of these undocumented workers and undocumented immigrants that were coming up here and kind of doing the same thing, getting in big car accidents or taking falls on construction sites on purpose, and then turning around and suing the companies for it. So unfortunately, we have been seeing some of these claims that have been popping up. And, really as a law firm, last year alone, we, answered more than 2 million phone calls. So it really, at Morgan & Morgan, we really have to do our job of vetting out and making sure everything's on the up and up, everything's legitimate. So there's definitely been more layers to put in to protect not only the insurance companies from the frauds, but from our own attorneys and our own law firm from the frauds, because unfortunately, people I think are seeing some of these verdicts and some of these settlements, and they're thinking, well, that's an easy way to do it, and now they're going out and conspiring, to do these crash for cash type schemes are the fall type schemes. So unfortunately, we have been seeing it a little bit more recently. Hopefully, these types of actions when they come in so heavy handed, not only, go after the attorneys involved, but the slammers involved, the defendants involved, the witnesses involved, to send a message to the community that hey, there's going to be some serious consequences if this type of behavior continues.
So do you guys ever see at Morgan & Morgan somebody come in with a claim that you think was a setup that might be fraudulent? We've had times before on slip and falls where we've been able to kind of cut real quick because we can get the tapes. We've unfortunately, we see the videos of the person dropping the olive oil in the supermarket and then turning around and slip it on that same olive oil type of thing. And it's tough because you want to take all your clients for what they say and what they're saying. But when you get into discovery and you uncover some of those videos, you pretty much have to tell them, A, we're not taking this claim anymore. And two, unfortunately, we have a duty to kind of turn this over to other authorities because there is crimes involved. And as an attorney, you do take that oath to kind of turn that stuff over if you do discover it. That's pretty interesting. I mean, the allegation here, though, is that there were actual attorneys involved in this for many years and that they were a part of this and a part of filing the lawsuits. And then, of course, reaping the benefits. Now, Vanessa Motta, for one, she pleaded not guilty. We've reached out to her lawyer. He has not yet responded to my request for comment about these allegations. But this is somebody who is on TV down there in New Orleans soliciting business, and yet she's accused of something or being a part of something, even obstructing justice, witness tampering. This case, they say a witness who was cooperating with the feds was even murdered. I mean, that's part of the allegation here.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when you have kind of the attorneys that are involved in this as well, obviously it should alert everybody and start signing the alarm bell is that, hey, this isn't just a problem, that's going on when these, gang type communities or people that are scheming, but they actually have the attorneys involved, maybe have the doctors involved, they have witnesses involved, and from what kind of the allegations read, it seems like some of these witnesses or some of the drivers were the same drivers So just kind of using some common sense and critical thinking. If I'm an attorney and I'm sitting in my fifth, semi truck accident and the witness just happens to be the same person, my bells would be going off like, this ain't smelling right. Something's wrong here. But again, I want to let the attorneys, kind of defend themselves and see how it lays out. But yeah, all the Motto and Giles was the other attorney name, and a few other firms. The way it reads is really, really bad for them.
Yeah, it certainly does not read well for them, but of course it will all play out in court. They're innocent until proven guilty, as any other criminal defendant is. I just, I'm just stunned by the sheer magnitude of this. The feds say 63 people, a total of 63 people are charged in this case. It just seems like a massive alleged conspiracy.
Yeah, I think I actually saw a number that said up to 86 now, potentially. I'm not sure if I might have been misreading, but yeah, I think it's even growing now, because you got to think once you get into it, well, who else is involved? Well, there's a passenger, and then there's maybe family members that are testifying about their condition before and after. You got doctors that might have be in play that are treating these people. So yeah, just because it's one crash, one person, that could lead to 10 people in one case because of everyone that's involved in the cover up, and there's drivers and the people get in the passenger seat from the driver's seat, and like you said, it's spun out all the way out of control where they're covering it up where someone got murdered because of it.
Yeah, and there's another thing that I think we should touch on too, is the fact that they're targeting these big rigs, and sometimes these big rigs are owned by big corporations, but sometimes they're not. I mean, sometimes big rigs are just kind of these kind of freelance truckers.
Mom and pop shops, for sure. We see a lot of those where, we have cases sometimes where you think, oh, there's I had a case recently. It was a wrongful death, unfortunately, involving a car that was hauling fire trucks. They had no insurance on the car because it was a mom and pop shop that their insurance payment, they didn't make it. And then, so you think that, oh, hey, big truck, big company, probably gonna be a big payout if something happens. But yeah, a lot of times you kind of peel back those levels of insurance. That's who you're going after. Really. You're not really going after the companies. Obviously, sometimes you kind of pierce the insurance, but you're going after the insurance. And if there's nothing there, then there's really no case for these people to recover. So I think, these people definitely were targeting the big rigs because there's an assumption that if it's a commercial truck or commercial policy, it'll be a higher policy. Yeah, but a lot of times you'll see it's just a standard policy or no policy at all.
Wow. Well, Dan Morgan, I really appreciate you coming on and offering your expertise on this. Managing partner of Morgan & Morgan. I appreciate it. I hope you'll come back.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.